Hi there and welcome to another Tech Tuesday. My name is Darren Haywood. I'm one of the co-owners, the CMO, and also one of your tech savvy mentors here at Self-Made. And in today's training, I'd like to talk about something that I get asked an awful lot in terms of funnel building, and in particular, the landing page or the page where you're going to collect the information for your opt-in. So you're sending somebody to a page, you want them to opt in for something, you want to collect their name, email address, possibly their phone number. And what I've tended to find is that most people think that there's really only one option available to them, which is they need to put the form, the form where you're going to collect that name and email address and phone number, then that needs to sit on the landing page prominent so that people can see, hey, this is where I put the information in, and they believe that that's their only option. Having built literally thousands of funnels and tested an awful lot with actually measuring conversion rates and data, there's actually a second option, which is the option that I'd like to just share with you today. It's the option that I tend to use probably 80% of the time. The only time that I don't use it is when there's a real when it makes total sense for this to be actually on the landing page itself. But there is a second option. That second option is that you put the form where you're going to collect the data, you actually put it into a pop-up. So for those of you who are maybe not sure what's a pop-up, well, that's basically, you'll have all seen them on pages. It's where you'll click a button or click some sort of a link on the page, and suddenly another window will open on the same page. It's like a pop-up, and what often happens is that the background is sort of all greyed out, or sort of at least darkened so that the pop-up is prominent. And you can use that pop-up to send, if you like, or to relay an additional message. It focuses the attention solely on the pop-up rather than on the rest of the landing page, which is one of the reasons why I like it, and also in pretty much all of my testing, 80% of the time, I get a better conversion rate. And what I mean by conversion rate is, if I send 100 people to the page and I get 40 people to give me their name and email address, then my conversion rate is 40%. So that's a key metric that I use, and I would suggest that you guys use to measure the effectiveness of that landing page and that opt-in. But yeah, data has shown me that I tend to get a better conversion rate with a pop-up than I do with just putting the form on the page itself. So what I'm going to do, just quickly, I'd like to give you sort of a visual look of what that looks like, how you sort of build that really, in a simple way. So I'm going to jump over now to my screen and let you just watch me quickly, just over 5 minutes. I'm just going to build it into a pop-up. And what I'm also going to show you is another quick little trick that you may not know about in terms of how you can just make these, the forms and things on the page look that little bit better. So let's go and dive into the screen just now. Okay, so here's a mock-up of a page that I already have in our demo account. So as you can see here, if you imagine this was just a simple landing page with, you've got a headline here, your sub-headline, maybe you put an image here of the product or something just to visually represent what you want them to opt in for. And then on this side here, you're going to put, you would put the form. So maybe what you have is, you put sort of a form headline, might go here, something like, enter your details below to register, or something simple. Okay, And then you would put the form. So if we go here and we'll just add a form that we already have, we'll just use this one. So you would put the form. Okay, so that's what most people would tend to do, and what most people think is the only option that's available to them to be able to do that. And as I say, there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that, but I'd like to share with you what that second option is, which is, as I say, my sort of go-to option 9 times out of 10. So what I'm going to do here is just delete that, and instead of putting the form on here, what I might tend to do is say, okay, this headline is going to be something different, such as, you know, here's why you should register today. Okay, and I'm not going to format this because this isn't the point of the training, but so then what I would have possibly is, let me find in here some, like a bullet list, and I might list on here, but you know, here are the reasons for you to, you know, to buy. And you know, I might give them 6 compelling reasons why they should, you know, opt in for here. And then what I would do is I would say, okay, now what I want on this page is a button. So I would then put the button on here to say, okay, great, go now and sign up. So what have I just done with this? Well, the reason for doing it this way, and the reason why I tend to see a better conversion rate 9 times out of 10, is because I'm drawing the reader, or the, you know, into what I'm trying to do more. I'm giving them more reason. I've got extra real estate on the page, which is this, and instead of that being a form, it's another reason why they should register. So I'm taking them slightly further down the rabbit hole. I'm almost getting them to commit psychologically in their brain just that little bit more, so that if they happen to click that button, because it's an extra step and because they've now read what these real, you know, these reasons are, and if these reasons are compelling and you put some thought into what they should be, then they're ready, you know, they're really ready to you know, to opt in. Whereas when they see an opt-in straight away on the page, that's the first thing probably, or one of the first things that their eyes could be drawn to. And they're immediately, before they've even read everything else on the page, they're immediately thinking, oh, you want to collect my name and my email address. And that will automatically put some people just on guard a little bit more. And then they don't read as much, or they don't pay as much attention to everything else that's on the page, which is what you really want them to do. So I tend to find that by doing it this way, and say it helps with that conversion rate. So what you would then do is, obviously on the button here, you would go to the button actions and make sure it's set to open pop-up. It's usually the default for the button, but just check in case it's not. So then when they click that button, it will open the pop-up. So what you would do then is come over here up to the top, and you have this button here that says pop-up settings. When you go into here, it's going to give you this blank window. But this is just a smaller version of the page editor that you've just been in. So we can add a row, we can add a headline, which we can have as being the enter your details below to register, for example. Then we can create another row and we can add our form into here. Perfect. Okay. And then we can format this just a little bit, because if you use a pop-up like this, again, you want the eyes to be focused on the pop-up and not necessarily what's going on behind the pop-up. So inside these pop-up settings here, if you click on this button, then it's going to give you these options, and one of the important things is this overlay color. So if we click on that, what you will see here is this is like a gradient, but just to show you what I mean, if I change that to blue, it changes the whole of the back to blue, or the whole to black. Now what we don't want that, because that's going to confuse people. We want them still to be able to see what's behind. We just want to fade it out slightly. So what we want to do is, you can do this with a new color. So what I tend to do is add a custom color, start with black, open this up, and in this section here, I want to just fade that ever so slightly, and you see down at the bottom this number changes. So the smaller the number goes, the less fade, if you like, that you get. So the more you'll be able to see the background. The higher the number, the less you'll be able to see the background. So I would start at maybe 80, and let's see what that looks like. So if we do that and we say add color, so we can see now that that has faded that out. We can just slightly see maybe that's a little bit too much. If you find that it's a little bit too much, what you do is you can make sure that your color is selected, click on update, and rather than use the dragon again, you will see here that it's got 0000 or whatever the color is, and then the last one says 0.8. You can just change that to be, for example, 0.7. And we'll say update, and we can see that that's just slightly, raised that. So that's how we get people to focus their attention on here. And now we have a pop-up doing the same thing, but you will probably find that you get a slightly better conversion rate doing it this way than embedding it on the page itself. Okay, so there's just another quick thing that I'd like to share with you as well today, which is just to do with formatting this piece. So we can see here that what we have essentially is it's two column. So what I'll do, just to illustrate this, I will just delete this altogether. Okay, so imagine here I create a 2 column, 1, 2, and on this side I'm going to put my image. So I'll just go to image, and I will select that same image that we were using before. Okay, so now I have my image. That's great. Then on this side, I'm going to have some sort of a headline that's here. And let's say that you just have, some bullet points, but let's say you just have 3. You just got 3 bullet points. And then I'm going to have a button. Okay, great. But when you look at that, you can see that it sort of doesn't align itself at all. It's like this is halfway down the page. It's actually in the center. If you take the 2 columns, it's aligned with the center. So how do you change that? Because leaving it like that doesn't really look the way that you want. So what you can do here, the way to do that is when you hover over this, you see you've got the blue box. So that's like the outer side of the row. What you want to do is get to where you get these sort of purpley colours, pinky purple, and you can see we can hover over this side and we can hover over this side. So if I go over here and click on that, I'm only now formatting this second column, so we can see here. And what you notice is the column layout, when we get content spacing, it's set to center. If I change that to be left, it now moves everything up to the top. If I do the same on this one, click that and move that to the top, it may not move anything, but just in case the image changes, then everything now is aligned that way, just looks a little bit better. You can then just space, these things out a little bit more. We can put, for example, some spacing in these. We'll put some margin on here, and we'll put some margin here. Straight away, just looks a little bit better, a little bit easier on the eye, rather than having to live with it sort of just sitting there in the middle. So if you're already a member of the Self-Made Hub, then I would suggest go and maybe try that out, go and test it. If you've already got a funnel landing page built, and maybe you've got the form actually on the page itself, don't suddenly rush and change it. That wouldn't be the smartest thing to do. But once you get some data in terms of how that's converting for you, then maybe testing it against a pop-up and getting some different metrics to see if it can do better for you would be a good next step. If you're only just building your landing pages, then you can consider putting the form in the pop-up right from the get-go. And again, see how that performs for you, see what the numbers look like. And you can always test the opposite way around, putting it on the page itself at a later date. And if you're here and you're watching this, but you're not yet part of the Self-Made Hub, then I would definitely encourage you to come and take us for a test drive. We have a free 14-day challenge that you can sign up for. You just go to www.self-made.biz/challenge. You can get access to the hub, the funnel building tool that I've just been in, and everything else that goes with it. You get access to that completely free for 14 days, totally risk-free. You can take it for a test drive. We'll guide you through each day, 14 days worth of how you set things up from A to Z, so that at the end of the 14 days, you're absolutely ready to go. But at the end of the day, if after 14 days you just decide it's not for you at this stage, that's absolutely fine. You just need to reach out to us, reach out to support, and we'll make sure that you don't get billed beyond that 14 days. So, having said that, I would strongly encourage you to do that if you haven't already done so. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you make improvements to your funnels and achieve the success that you're looking to achieve moving forward.